Thanks for listening to Pick Your Battles. My name's Kayla.
And I'm Dada. And we are on episode 4.
Episode 4.
Man, thanks for everyone for listening to episode 1, 2, and 3.
I know. It's been so much fun.
So much fun.
Mm-hmm.
So if we remember back to episode 3, I talked about how I sent one of my best friends probably unwanted
nudie pics, basically.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Because I was breastfeeding and trying to figure that shit out. So it wasn't like the good kind of nudie pics. It was like, what is this nipple discharge? Like my nipples hurt. Blah.
Open up my phone.
Yeah. Instantly send her a picture. So we have her here today.
Yay!
Stephanie Winn.
Yay! Hi. Thank you.
You're our first Zoom.
Thanks for being our first guest too.
Thank you. I feel really honored to be the first guest. I don't feel like I deserve it, but here we are.
You're probably right.
That's probably right. But you know what? This makes up for all the nudes and the weird shit you've sent me about your body. So I think this kind of even. So when this goes viral and famous and you start getting sponsored, blah, 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 I want some of the free shit that you get.
I knew it was going to happen. So the fact that Stephanie agrees, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Hopefully what else happens is that Stephanie listens to episode at least 4.
Oh, maybe if she's on it.
I will listen. I'll listen to them all.
For those keeping track, that means she hasn't listened to 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, no.
No, I listened to 1. No, I listened to 1.
Yeah,
I
so
did one.
300 other people.
Here's the problem is I just call you on the way to work. So you need to stop answering to make me listen to the podcast on the way to work instead.
Oh, then she'll miss your voice and she'll have to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's a good. All right, we'll try that.
Anyways, down to business.
So thank you for having me. I am a women's health nurse practitioner by career. So taking care of all the mamas. So I felt like during pregnancy, it was like smooth sailing. I was like, I got this. No problem. It was great. Great pregnancy, great delivery. And then that like tiny man came shooting out 3 weeks early and rocked our world. And then now I'm just trying to mom it, which I don't know how to do. So this is a whole new. I'm women's health specifically trained. Then I was given this tiny penis to take care of, and I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I'm like, I don't know.
Tell us about the little man who goes with that said genitalia.
That story.
Yeah.
Grayson Winn, he's a triple moon Gemini, so pray for me. And he was born June 3rd. 2019, and he is crazy energetic, but he's so sweet and sensitive, and I feel like he's a good blend of both of us so far. I definitely like that stubbornness is happening though. So he's great and he's sleeping, hopefully, though I think I hear him talking to himself still. Yeah, so I'm just venturing this motherhood as we all are and figuring it out, and thank God you had a boy because nobody else has boys, and now I get to talk about weird boy penis things with you. But I do have a handful of friends who have maniac girls, and I just live for it. I'm like, yes, be crazy and wild. So I hope that for you, Kayla. I hope you have a wild one.
I kind of like wild kids. I think they're fun. Okay, let's dive in to the battle that you've picked, Stephanie.
So my biggest battle of motherhood parenting in general is with Grayson's speech. And it's interesting because once we kind of started this journey, you do come to learn of so many other people around you that you know whose children also had issues with speech. So we kind of could tell because, you know, he was more babbling and wasn't saying clearer words, but you don't know, it's your first kid. So you kind of go off what you think they should be doing at a certain age based on, you know, what the pediatrician tells you, what your family and friends are saying. And then definitely the almighty comparison of other children, which is like the worst thing I think we can do as parents. And so his little best friend is close in age, and I would drop Grayson off at daycare, and his little friend would be, you know, like chatting away, making like total sense in words. And so that started really eating at us. So we finally ended up getting him evaluated through a state program. And of course, pandemic, right? So it's via Zoom. How do you expect a 2-year-old to do anything via Zoom?
Right.
So then they had everybody doing their evals, which we were like, yep, I don't think said 2 words during the evaluation. So I was like, great, we're approved. Awesome.
Yeah, we're on the list.
We're on the list. So it took us a while to actually get going with it, just, you know, logistics of COVID and availability or whatnot. But that was like the biggest battle and biggest challenge, because then you feel, of course, like you're a total failure. I should have been reading to him more, talking to him more. Like, how do we pull this out of him? But he just had nothing to say, I guess, which serves me right, because I never stopped talking. So I think he probably just couldn't get a word in. But so that's been an interesting journey, and actually like super humbling. And it, like on this side of things, I mean, had we talked about this 6 months ago, I'd be crying, but he's been doing so well. Now he never stops talking, and he's making sentences and strides, and he loves to sing. And I mean, we pretty much have We Don't Talk About Bruno down real well. So then maybe that can be our like next podcast star. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. You get like a lot of opinions and influence from people around you that obviously have the best of intentions. But I mean, this just goes back to the comparison game, and you just picking your battles. Like, do you think that something's wrong with your child because all these people are giving you these ideas, or do you just give them time? And so many people around us also were like, just give them time, you know, they take longer, and it just starts eating at you, right? So
Yeah.
you know, Dave and I spent a lot of time just quietly thinking to ourselves, like watching him, staring at him, like, why isn't he saying anything? Is there something else going on? But the speech community is awesome. Because it was taking us so long to get into speech, I started YouTubing speech videos, and there's this Miss Rachel on YouTube who rocks it, and he was engaging with it, and just words started coming. And now it's like that light switch flipped, and everybody says that. And it's so true. Like, finally he gets it. And now he's like saying and doing things that are even beyond what he should be at his age. And I think he just had it all in his head and wasn't ready to tell us yet.
Right. He already knew that mom and dad knew exactly what he needed and what he wanted. So he said, what's the rush?
Right. Which also, as we know, we just give in because we don't want that battle of the breakdown tears argument. You know exactly the snack he's asking for. You know exactly the show he wants. So you just give it to him. Although it was funny, because I think one of the first things he really started saying and asking for was chewy granola bars. So homeboy ate a lot of chewy bars because he'd be like, chewy? Be like, okay, like, reward the child for saying it. So that's another battle that you're just like, you want to be encouraging of like that speech and that development, and then that flips on you, right? Because they take advantage of you, but it's fun.
At what point did you go from thinking he just doesn't want to talk to thinking like, maybe we need like a third professional party to sort of diagnose this like speech issue?
It was right before he turned 2. And then I remember our, I don't know, like 18-month doctor appointment. And the doctor had said, oh, is he saying like, I think 10 words or something? And it was a stretch. We left that appointment and David's like, I think that you like stretched that he says 10 words. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then when we were rounding 2, I thought, he's definitely not saying 10 words. and he's definitely not putting two words together. And so just kind of, and then being around other people for a longer period of time, because right, we were all in quarantine, so we really didn't see anybody. And so just being in a bigger setting and other people realizing like, yeah, it doesn't say much, then it kind of just started eating at us. So, it was time.
And people said that, like, your kid really doesn't say a lot.
Yeah.
They suck.
Yeah. 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 And again, comparison, right? Because these other people were saying, well, I don't remember it taking my kid that long to talk, or I thought I remember at this age, my child said, X, Y, and Z. So now you're getting the opposite comparison. People outwardly comparing their children to yours, but in like the negative way too. And not that the intentions, I think, are supposed to be anything more than just they care and so they're saying it, but that then eats at you, because then that just drives that domino effect of, oh yeah, well, I guess he isn't saying this, or the boxes aren't checked based on what the pediatrician is saying.
Right.
But now he knows colors of the rainbow, he can count to 20, rocking our ABCs, he busts out BINGO on the reg. So I think we're good.
Bingo.
Bingo. Yeah, he loves that guy. So yeah, that was probably when it all started.
Well, and it's also crazy to me, like, that you said once he kind of got that diagnosis or whatever, you took it internally and were like, oh, I should have read to him more. Oh, I should have done this to him more. Like how it always kind of falls back on us, not only as parents, but as moms. Like you automatically were like, oh, is this my fault? When it wasn't. You did everything right. You did everything you could, but you were still immediately like, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I remember saying, oh, we didn't read him enough books. He watched like too much TV then. I mean, and it's not that he sits in front of a TV all day long, but we all have to survive, right? So like he watches a show and you think, oh, should I have spent that like 20 minutes reading to him instead? In a perfect world, but we're both like career parents that have full-time jobs. And
what kid listens to a book for 20 minutes also?
No, exactly. Yeah. So that was hard, and I think anything that you think is not up to where they should be developmentally, or I think that just goes into like when they get into school, academically, sports, whatever, you just start assuming it was us that failed them. What could we have done differently? But I found there's a speech pathologist on Instagram. I remember looking at some of her stuff, and she's a speech pathologist, and her child was delayed in speech. And she was like, I am the person, I'm the professional. Right. And that totally was like, oh, okay, good point. I'm sure you definitely did all the right things. And, their child still was delayed in speech. So,
yeah.
You're in the medical profession, although it's not specific to like child development or specific to speech. Like at some point you have to separate and draw that line between like, yeah, but that shit doesn't matter. Like, this is my kid. And almost like everything medical you've ever been taught maybe like doesn't even matter.
Because your mom instincts jump in. Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And then I think kind of as we're saying this too, because, I think of all these patients that I see and all these people that are trying to, accomplish a better healthy lifestyle, or, I see people all the time trying to get pregnant. And again, we always blame ourselves. It's something that we did in the past, but it's so out of our control. And that's totally, I think, child development too. You just give them the tools, but holy cow, with speech, this has been so eye-opening to see. Just everybody is so different. And yeah, there's the guidelines that they want them to reach these certain milestones, but it'll eat you alive as a parent. But I don't, we don't regret getting him evaluated. We love our speech therapist. She's awesome. every time we work with her, we learn something and how to help pull. And now we're doing like, more syllables or specific letters and sounds. And so for us, it's easier to help him through that. But yeah, he's like totally fine now because you have these child development professionals like analyzing your kid, but also helping you like expand like their little world and like showing them like expanded play and trying new things and nothing to like be ashamed of or afraid of introducing. I mean, and everybody said that who I had talked to who had done some kind of therapy was, you won't regret it. It's only going to benefit your child. And if you have the resource to do it and it's available to you, let it help you. And what I learned through all this was that the little kids, there's usually programs through your state. And then once you hit preschool age, it's all through the school district, which is nice because then you feel like you're getting the most out of your taxes, especially us in Illinois. But yeah, so anybody, at least in Illinois, it seemed like anybody under the age of 3, there's some kind of state program. And it seems like that's pretty much all over. And then the school, but reaching out to the school district, if your child is like preschool age, then those are resources too.
I guess my last question would be, what kind of like advice would you give to a parent who's kind of going through the same thing right now, where they're comparing their kiddo and feels like their kiddo's behind, or they have pressure from their family and friends? What would you say to that parent?
Number one, I would say be kind to yourself, because we are doing exactly what we need to be doing as a parent. You're doing great. You did all the right things. So we have to be kind to ourselves because we can be so hard, and that spirals into, just feeling like a failure. Like we just started. We're at 2 years old. We can't thus drag ourselves down now. And then get an evaluation. I'm pretty sure they're always free. And just look at it as, how can I help my child be his or her best self, and give them the resources to grow and be successful in life. So it's totally nothing to be ashamed of, and you won't regret just taking that leap and doing it and putting in the effort, because at the end of the day, we see all this work and it's been hard, but I mean, it's so amazing. Every little word he says couldn't be more perfect. He could swear at me today, and I would be so proud of him.
Good job, Grayson.
That'll be next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, next week. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you, Steph.
Thanks for having me. Pick your battles wisely. Don't pick your battle with yourself, though. That's my sign-off message. Don't battle yourself. You're a great mom and dads.
I like that.
Very cute.
Kind of stealing our thunder.
Yeah, don't steal our tagline, but
Okay, friends. Thanks for listening. And just remember, it's okay to pick your battles.
And it's okay if you pick the wrong one.